Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Let's Talk Arsenal series, for a little bit of a different episode, something we've not done before, which when you've done as many shows as we have on this channel, in fact, I think I got a notification the other day saying that we've done over 1,000, which is in 6 years, 1,000 shows. You know, it makes sense, but it does show us a ridiculous amount of episodes of the Gooner Talk. But if you've been tuning in ever since Craig started this channel back in 2015, that is some commitment that you've had there. But thank you so much for tuning in, guys. As always, do drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. In today's episode, what we're going to be doing is rating all of Arsenal's transfer targets for the January window. I say all, it's almost impossible to not miss some out, and I'm sure that you guys are going to absolutely lambast me for not including some that you probably wanted to see. If that is the case, we will go through some at the end you think I've missed in the chat box. We're doing this live, so the chat box is joining us as always. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you happen to be in the world. Wesley joining us on the West Coast today. Greg joining us from California. Love to see it. Talib, bonjour. I'm assuming either I'm going to be really lazy here and assume France, but you could be in several African countries, Canada, lots of French-speaking places around the world, of course, but I'm just being lazy. Puresh says, hi, Tom, on a live show, watching from Trinidad. Unbelievable stuff. Looking forward to getting a lot of your thoughts and feelings about how we're going to rate these. Now, I made this on PowerPoint, as I mean, you can't really go wrong with PowerPoint, really. It's just my go-to for everything. So I'm hoping that this is going to work. But let me talk you through the rankings. We've got, obviously, the Do It Now, which obviously you probably imagine is a genre of player that I think I would much love to see Arsenal sign. A very good buy, kind of slash loan, just slightly underneath that Do It Now. Would be very, very happy to see it done. A signing I'd be happy to see join the club, just kind of, you know, if it happens, I'm happy with it, but I'm not over the moon. I'm not ecstatic. I'm not losing my mind. And then we start going to kind of the more negative side of things, the ones I would personally kind of steer clear of. But, you know, I know that a lot of people have the respect for these players and, you know, would be open to seeing them sign. But I personally, just on personal view, would steer clear of them. And then finally, just to simply stay away. Just leave us alone. Don't come anywhere near my club. That's the last one. So that's all of the different categories there. So fingers crossed that we're going to be going through this as smoothly and easily as possible. And we start with Alexander Isak. Now I'm going to throw them into the middle of the screen. This isn't where they're going to end up, of course, but just to get you an idea of who we're talking about. Alexander Isak, we begin with. Swedish striker playing for Real Sociedad, has been doing very well. Scored today, actually, I think, against Leganes. Really nice chipped finish to up his goal tally in La Liga to 5 goals. Obviously, he has previously played with Martin Ødegaard at Real Sociedad as well. Where am I going to put Alexander Isak? I am going to put Alexander Isak into the very good buy / loan section of this list. Reasoning behind that, I think that he is obviously one of the most highly rated strikers on the planet right now in his age bracket. He is a player that has obviously previously linked up with our very own Martin Ødegaard. The issue why I haven't put him in the Do It Now is I just think there is a couple of questions around kind of his consistency, his goal record, his pressing ability as well is certainly something that does fall into question too. So that's why I'm leaning more towards the very good buy / loan. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat box. Olu, Do It Now. Chris P, Do It Now. I feel like there's going to be a bias because we're so desperate to see Arsenal sign someone. Anthony, I too thought that these were the wrong way around, but I'm assured that the colours are, in fact, the right way. I agree with you. I think the colours are weird and why they're done this way, but apparently this is the right way to do it. Anyway, they've got labels on them, so you know what it is. Pablo agrees with me. Das says, very good tier. Sasha, one of our members, says, no, Tom, no. Do It Now. Has to be what Isak is. Ryan Hills, 5 goals in La Liga, not good enough at all. I mean, this is someone that's last season, I think, scored 17 goals in 34 La Liga appearances at the age of 21. Yes, it's not been amazing this season so far, but I don't think saying he's not good enough at all just based on 17 goals in La Liga last season at the age of 21. 5 goals, yes, this season, but he's had a slow start, could really pick things up in the second half. Simon says, evening, Tom, regular listener / viewer from Sweden here. Speaking of which, I hope we get Isak. He's been watching him play for country and club, and he's got great technical ability, explosiveness, and an eye for goal. So Simon dropping in and telling us that Arsenal definitely need to go for Isak. We are going to have to pick up the pace because we've got quite a few players to go through here, and I don't want to, linger on these. Why can't I see my mouse? Where's my mouse gone? This is going to get frustrating. So apparently my mouse this is going to get really irritating. Let's click on PowerPoint and see. I can see my mouse again. Good stuff. Next we go for Matthias Svanberg. Swedish again. We're going on a very Swedish route here. Bologna, Swedish midfielder, a player that obviously has been linked with the club for around 15 to 20 million euros. Highly rated, 22-year-old as well. And he's a player that I know a lot of people don't know much about, but he's still a very, very, very good and prospective player. I am, however, still going to put him in the I am happy section. I think he is very good. I think he would be a good purchase, but I do think there are better options out there than Matthias. In fact, you know what? I'm really tempted to put him here. I feel like there's not enough sections to kind of split it up. I just feel like I'm in the I am happy, very good. We're in the second player and I'm cheating already. This is how this is going to work. I'm going to cheat through this entire thing. But I put Svanberg kind of in between the very good I'm happy. But 15 to 20 million euros, 12 to 15 million pounds, I think is a pretty good price for a player of his quality. I'd lean maybe slightly towards the very good, but I think it's not quite in the very good. It's a good tier, as Numish points out. One that we haven't got, I suppose, but I'd be happy. But the very, very good, I think is too far. I'm going to make an executive decision and stick him in the I am happy section. Next is Jonathan David, Lille striker, a player that I know a lot of you are big fans of. I've certainly started to step up my interest in Jonathan David, kind of see him as a player that is going to explode onto the scene. I did a really good conversational chat with, can you do anything other than a conversational chat? I'm not sure how you can have a non-conversation. Anyway, I had a good chat with Jeremy Smith over on the Arsenal Way, and we did a dedicated show looking into Jonathan David. Really good discussion around him. I am putting Jonathan David in the do it now section. I have been converted, it's fair to say, on Jonathan David. Pressing, brilliant. Link-up play, really good. Clinical finisher, versatile. Can play as a second striker. Can, yes, play on his own. Has played in a 2 as well. Can even play in an attacking midfield role and did at Ghent for quite a long period of time. Do it now. This guy is going to become one of the best talents on the continent. I'm so sure about this. Pressing and non-penalty XG stats are insane for David. Throwing him straight into the do it now section as always. Converted by the Smith, says Nico. Such as last time we bought from Lille, it didn't go too well. That's not true because last time we bought from Lille, we signed Gabriel Magalhaes, who I think has been a very, very good player for Arsenal. Do it now, says Balaji. Very good tier. Also an Arsenal fan, says Daz. Do it now, says Asa. Christopher says David is very good as they won't let him go now. Jonathan says Tom's faith in Lille players is finally rekindled. CONCACAF for the win, says Wesley. Mr. Joe Kerr with the donation says no Woods or JWP anywhere here. Please explain. No James Ward-Prowse, no Woods in here either. Sorry, mate, but not had anywhere near enough links, I'm afraid, Joe, to get them into the video so far. But Jonathan David is in the do it now tier. We move next on to the man of the moment, the man of all the conversations in the world, it seems, Dusan Vlahovic. Where do you place Dusan Vlahovic into this tier list? I think he's a very good striker. I think he's going to be a player that obviously goes on to big things. He is considered very, very much one of the best talents on the planet right now. I have my own issues with this. The issues with Vlahovic are, of course, the fact that he is not keen, it seems, on a move to Arsenal, or his representatives are not keen. And that's kind of that blurred line at the moment of where we're at. We don't really know whether or not Vlahovic himself is not interested in Arsenal, or if it's his representatives that are specifically not interested in doing a deal for Arsenal. I have a feeling, though, that with the legitimacy of the claims now surrounding the deal, and Ben Jacobs for CBS Sports did confirm this news earlier on today, someone I have a lot of faith in his knowledge and his connections, and know this to be very much the case, that a bid for Vlahovic has supposedly been made that I trust. Can we convince him to sign? I'm not sure that we can. And do we want him to sign, considering the fact that he is a player that, doesn't seem too keen? I'm going to put him in the I'm happy. There's part of me that wants to put him in the I would steer clear because of the situation with wanting a striker that can, bring a want to join for Arsenal. In fact, you know what? We're going to go out there. We're going to put him in the I would steer clear section. Call me crazy, but we're going with the I would steer clear section for Vlahovic. I'm giving in to the little boy in me that says that we should... I sound like Van Persie. I'm giving in to the want to have a player that desperately wants to join Arsenal, that's a big fan of Arsenal, Jonathan David, wearing his Thierry Henry shirt. That's what I want in an Arsenal striker. I'm going out on a limb here and saying I would steer clear of Dusan Vlahovic. Call me crazy, Sasha. That's what I'm going with. Do it now, though, says Wayne Sage, good fan of the Arsenal Lounge. Wayne, of course, a big supporter of the channel. Thank you for tuning in, Wayne. Do it now, says Griffin. Balaji agrees. I would steer clear of Vlahovic. Nico says he's 23 and wants 500 grand a week. That would destroy our dressing room and wage structure, apparently, says Nico. I thought he was 21. Maybe you're talking about someone else. Vlahovic has to be a do it now. Goal record speaks for himself. Yes, Tom, I agree, says Chris. Tom, you're crazy, says Social. Good call, says Wesley. This is going to be something that splits people. I can't wait to read through the comment section. Let me know in the comment section whether you agree or not with these. I'm not sure on Vlahovic. I just can't quite. I'm not saying stay away. I'm just thinking right now, based upon the information that we have, I would stay clear of Vlahovic at this point in time. Now, Renato Sanches. No prizes for guessing where I'm putting Renato Sanches. Stay away from here, please, Renato Sanches. I don't want your injury record. 69 games missed, and he's only at the age of 24. We've had too many injury-prone players at Arsenal. Stay away from Arsenal, Renato Sanches. I don't want your injury record at Arsenal. I know that a lot of you guys are going to love him and really want him to join and would be happy if he joined. But to be fair, looking into the chat box, a lot of you are agreeing with me. Stay away, stay clear, stay away. Everyone going for the stay away section for Renato Sanches, agreeing with me in the chat. I'm loving this. I'm loving the agreement. Stay away, says Wayne Stage. I would steer clear of Renato Sanches, says Shri. I would steer clear. Saludin says Renato is too injury prone. Rahman says stay away from Renato. Mr. Joker, reverse. Get away, Renato. Steer clear, but wouldn't be super mad if we got him, says Terry. Isfly Chris says, I would steer clear of Renato Sanches. Wow, I'm loving the fact that you guys are agreeing with me on this. I thought this was going to be controversial. Apparently not. Jonathan says, very gifted player, but too risky to be signing. Mark says he can stay in FIFA. Not for me. Matt says, Tom, why don't you have Jack Wilshere? Maybe we'll get onto that a little bit later. I think he's going elsewhere. I haven't really seen a concrete link with Arsenal and actually us being interested in him signing, so I didn't think he was the perfect person for that. Mike said, but the gerbil said that Renato Sanches was coming. Unfortunately, he was on the list of players last season in the summer, as confirmed by Fabrizio, but not for me. Now, the next player on our list is Bruno Guimaraes. I know the picture's a little bit small, but Bruno Guimaraes from Lyon, Brazilian midfielder, formerly of Atletico Paranaense, signed by Lyon in January of 2020, I believe, and was then linked with Arsenal continuously. He confirmed that we were linked with him in the summer window of 2021. And yet again, we're being linked with a move for Bruno Guimaraes. £38 million is what it would cost for us to sign him. And he is going straight in the or rather do it now tier. He is my absolute number one central midfield target. Would not choose anyone else that we've been linked to him in the centre midfield over Bruno Guimaraes. Brilliant central midfielder, can play in a single pivot role, can play in a double pivot role. He's progressive, 5 assists already from central midfield, playing in defensive positions in the middle, and 5 assists is so good. Hell yes, says Wayne. Do it now for sure. Matt G says, do it now. Bruno, very good buy in the slightly lower section, says Steve. No doubt, do it now, says Vishal. Tom says, Bruno, yes, please, now. Sri Ram says, very good, BG. On Bruno Guimaraes. Now, but won't happen, says Christopher J. Suladin says, this should be a done deal already. Balaji says, do it now, Mr. Joker. Bruno, please sign him, and Tom will have your babies. Taking it that way. That must be the tier above do it now, the Tom will have your baby section of this graph. Let's move on to the next one. Georginio Wijnaldum. This obviously is a player that's been linked with a 6-month loan move to Arsenal. Not supposedly going so well at PSG at the present stage. Apparently does still want to fight for his place in the PSG team. I'm really caught on this one. I kind of like the fact that he would be a really good 6-month loan option. And this is being discussed around a loan. I'm not saying that we will buy him. This is purely on a loan deal. I would actually put Georginio Wijnaldum in a very good loan option for the rest of the season. I do think that he's a player that adds quality. He's not someone who's injury prone. I think he's someone that's versatile, that can play in number 8 position, could also play slightly further forward if we needed him to. But for 6 months, I think that Georginio Wijnaldum would be a very good option for Arsenal to bring in on loan. If it was buy, and if we were talking about Wijnaldum on a buy option, I would steer clear. I wouldn't go for the buy option in anywhere other than that. But a 6-month loan deal, I think, would be a very good loan for Georginio Wijnaldum. In fact, what we might do is we might put the loan players in a yellow circle, just so it's clear they would be on loan. There we go. Wijnaldum in the yellow circle. It sounds like I put him on the naughty step, doesn't it? But no, Wijnaldum would be a loan. So we'll put the loan players in the yellow square, so you know what it is. I think it, for me, is in a very good section. Matt says, very good. I'd be happy. Terry says, very good. Tom says, do the loan now. Rances says, slightly lower. I would be happy with this one. True Ram says, I'd be happy for Georginio Wijnaldum. Stay clear, though, says Daz. Not a big fan of Georginio Wijnaldum whatsoever. Suladin says, loan would be good. Experience is perfect. Talib says, yes, sir. Agreeing with this. Sam says, would be a clever bit of business. Tom says, no brainer on Georginio Wijnaldum. Steve says, Georginio Wijnaldum loan will help us to the top 4. So, it seems a lot of you are agreeing with me, and only a couple of you thinking he should be slightly lower. I just think for a loan deal, it would be pretty good to get Wijnaldum. That looks really ugly with the yellow square. I'm just going to tell you that he's on loan. We don't need an outline on Wijnaldum. My OCD is not liking that one bit. Let's go on to the next one. Denis Zakaria, 6 months left on the Borussia Mönchengladbach midfielder's contract, would be available for a very cheap deal, possibly even less than £10 million. Has suffered with a serious knee injury, though, at the start of this, or the end of last season, going into the start of this season. Swiss national team currently kept out of the side by Granit Xhaka and Roman Freuler at Atalanta. He is, however, considered to be kind of the heir to that Switzerland midfield. I have reservations about the player. I think he's someone that, with his injury records, I think is someone that would be a bit of a risk, considering it was a serious knee injury that happened. I would say, and this would be a buy as well, because they're not going to accept a loan deal for 6 months, I would go into the I am happy section. I wouldn't put him above Svanberg. I like Svanberg more than him, and that's why I'm putting him earlier on in the list. But I think I would put him in the I'm happy section of this table. I feel like I'm going down. I didn't mean for this to be so organized. I've got all down one side, all down the next row. But yeah, I would go with Zakaria in the I'm happy section. If we got him in, I think it'd be a decent bit of business. I don't think he would have as much of an impact as Georginio Wijnaldum would over 6 months, and we'd be committing to a permanent deal. But I would be happy to see him join the club. Let's see what you guys are saying in this. Wesley says, for depth, yes. Half South African says, a loan with an option to buy. That wouldn't be possible because he's only got 6 months left on his deal. Nimish says, I'm happy with Zakaria. Gabrielle says, not what I want, but happy. Terry says, I'm happy, would rather have Kessié, though, who isn't on our list because he hasn't been heavily linked to us. No Sleep would put Zakaria into the dark red section of do it now. Wow, big fan of Zakaria, it seems. Zander, though, would completely stay clear of Zakaria. Maybe the injuries again becoming too big of a problem for many other people. Billy says, very good depth option for Arsenal. Talib says, Arsenal interested in Camara. He's not on our list of players from what I understand, so not on that list. The next on our list is Patrick Schick, Czech Republic striker for Bayer Leverkusen. Has scored a ridiculous amount of goals this season. Has had an excellent couple of really kind of 8 months or so since he burst onto the scene at the Euros. He was already very well known from his time at RB Leipzig and Roma, but really has burst onto the scene in Europe at the moment. If we were to sign Patrick Schick, I think this would be a very good option for Arsenal. He's still young, mid-20s, not as high up on my list as Isak, so that's why he's after Isak on that list there. Not as high as Jonathan David, but I would think this would be a very good buy for Arsenal to do. I think that his versatility in the air and his clinical finishing adds certain parts to his game that we don't necessarily have in the Arsenal team. And I don't think he would necessarily cost all of the world to bring in. I don't think he would cost actually as much as Jonathan David would cost or Isak would cost. I think it would be a very good option for Arsenal to go for. He's on absolute fire. Would be signing him at a good point, and I think at a really good age as well. Chris says very good, but under Isak for me. Chris says very good. Terry says very good. The Techno Wolf says very good. Graham says very good buy. I would have him in a heartbeat. Bundesliga tax, but good buy, says Temi. Nico says PBJ time. He's after the DCL. Oh, I know who you're talking about. Half South African says, only join now. Why is Vlahovic not under Do It Now? Again, we'll go back and rewind to hear my thoughts, but basically it's around the wants and the desires of the player to not be that keen on Arsenal. Mike, though, says Schick in a purple patch is pulling up trees, would be cheeky in the ascendancy, isn't pony, ticks all the boxes, wouldn't get everywhere he goes, might do bits, definitely isn't pants. I mean, a little bit of a broad spectrum of analysis there from Mike. Chris Moss says, David, let's go. Edu, and why not Wijnaldum and Jovic or Depay on loan and then go big in the summer with David Haaland or Guimaraes? Just asking for a little bit there, Chris. Ed says, Schick, not ideal, but would be a decent signing. Gary Griffin says, Schick, I'd be happy with. Let's move on to Kulusevski. Swedish Juventus winger, of course, a player that has been linked with Arsenal for quite a while, actually. He's been linked with us for a couple of months. I think those links go all the way back to at least October, actually, when we first heard about him. When I couldn't stop calling him Ukrainian because they share the same colour flags, basically, and I've got those flags completely mixed up. But Swedish winger player for Juventus would be available for around £30 million, can play also on the right and can play in a centre-forward position. I think that when you consider the price of the player, the priorities that we have in the January window, I put him in the I would steer clear section. I think that speaking to Kos Pandy, who is the editor-in-chief for Get Italian Football News, he feels like when Kulusevski is the protagonist, the main man of a team, he can really shine like he did at Parma before he before he came back to Juventus. He was joining them from Atalanta. But I think that he wouldn't be that in the Arsenal team. I don't think it would be a good use of the funds that you would probably have to sell Pepe for to sign him. I mean, if you're bringing in Kulusevski, Pepe's going. They're both right wingers and they're left-footed. It makes sense. You're not going to bring him in. And I also don't think that I just don't think it's worth the 30 million quid, to be honest, to bring him in. So that's kind of where I sit on that one. The next striker on my list is Youssef En-Nesyri. Moroccan striker, around mid-20s, 24, 25 years of age, has suffered with a few injuries this season, but prior to that, did very, very well for Sevilla, has been a crucial part of them becoming not only top four established side in La Liga, but actually a side that's been competing for the La Liga title, and he's been at the forefront of that. He's not slow for a tall player. He's a player that can score your goals from lots of different positions on the pitch, would be a threat in the air, and as I say, he's a very versatile, got lots of different characteristics. I would put him above Patrick Schick in my list of strikers personally. I do like him. I think he'd be more consistent, and he doesn't have that purple patch kind of aura about him that Schick has. I put him in the very good section. I would say that he's an option that Arsenal should be looking at and considering. And, you know, I think he's a very good player to come into the team that could explode. I wouldn't go into the do it now. I don't think he's on the level of Jonathan David. I don't think he's as high up on my list as as Isak is, but I wouldn't put him in the I'm happy, because I'd be more than happy to see En-Nesyri join the club. I think it'd be a really good option for us personally. Very good buy or loan, says Balaji. En-Nesyri, very good, says Zander. Terry says, I'm happy. Taylor says, En-Nesyri is a good all-rounder. Do it now. Sasha says, do it now. Very, very keen. A lot of split views on En-Nesyri. Would be happy, but again, African Cup of Nations, yes, but that is only until the end of January. Central midfield is the area that I'm mainly kind of concerned about with the AFCON. The striker situation, not as concerned about with that area. It's kind of, the central midfield that I'm worried about for the AFCON. Not worried about that for the strikers. Don White says, Schick is ready-made for Arsenal. I rate him more than the others. He's a complete striker, and he has been a top striker in 3 to 4 of top leagues. Good goal scoring record and strong. En-Nesyri, happiness, says DMC. Greg Miller says En-Nesyri is a very good. Agree. Jonathan says very good as well. Andreas Nielsen says, don't know much about him, but I'm happy if we signed him. Let's go on to our fourth from last, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Everton striker. You all know who he is. I don't need to talk too much about him. He, for me, goes into the do it now section. If we can get a deal for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I would be absolutely over the moon with this. Premier League ready, Premier League experience. He is on the cusp, I think, of becoming, with regular game time at a top club, one of the best strikers in the Premier League. I'm convinced of that. I know a lot of people don't agree with me on Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but I am very much a big, big fan of him and what he brings to the team. He's not one-dimensional like a lot of people say. He's very, very energetic. His work ethic is good. Not necessarily in the Everton team right now, work ethic-wise. They don't press anywhere near as much as Everton should do, and I think that affects his stats, similar to Vlahovic, actually, in that sense. I think I've misjudged Vlahovic at times for his pressing. And speaking to a couple of Italian experts, do think he could press in the right team. I think the same thing goes for Calvert-Lewin. I really like him, but that's just me. And I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with this one. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat box. Terry says, do it now. Nimesh says, do it in the summer. He is injured. No, he's playing for Everton again. Now he's back fit. Ryan, though, disagrees. Would steer clear. Raul also disagrees. Now, Matt G, though, saying do it now as well. Very good for DCL. Zander says steer clear. I disagree with you, Ryan. I don't think he's bang average at all. I think he's far higher than that. His consistency in the Premier League shows that. He's also not injury prone. People like to tell you that he's injury prone, but speaking to specialists in the field, confirm he is not injury prone. So there is also that. DCL steer clear, says ZY Heng in the chat. Odirile says, I'm happy in the section for him. Looking for a better name, says I disagree. On this one, Graham Caldwell says, I'm happy. If he was available this time last year, I would have said do it now. His recent injuries are a concern. Is he becoming injury prone? I don't think he is, and neither do the experts that I speak to. Finn raises a good point. The fee would be very high. And, that's why I've actually started to prefer Jonathan David over DCL. But for me, I still put him up there as a player that I would love Arsenal to go for. Luka Jovic. Now, this is a player, again, that would be a loan. So I don't think this is Luka Jovic on a permanent deal or affecting that. I think Luka Jovic on a 6-month loan deal would be a very good option. I kind of want to put him here. I want to put him in the middle of very good and I'm happy. The 6-month loan deal attracts me because I think it would mean that Arsenal don't necessarily have to go all out in January to get a striker that may not be available. I think that Jovic would come into the team motivated. I think he would come into the team knowing that he would have to perform to try and earn his way back either into the Real Madrid team or either earn a move to Arsenal on a permanent basis or a permanent move somewhere else in the summer. I'm in this middle ground of kind of whether or not it'd be a very good loan deal or just I would be happy with it. Just talking to myself aloud, which often ends up getting me the answers that I want. I am leaning slightly towards the I'm happy section, but I would put him at the top of the I'm happy section regarding where I'm at with him. A 6-month loan, I think, would really work for Arsenal, actually. I think he's a player that would provide a lot to the club in the 6 months. He would provide good cover for Lacazette. And I think that Lacazette will do us a really good job until the end of the season when he's going to leave. So to give us a little bit of depth, give us another option. He's also good in the air, despite not being that tall. I think he adds that to our game. A lot of people get bogged down with the idea that we must have a really tall striker to have aerial presence. This isn't true. strikers that aren't necessarily that tall but still are very good in the air are still very good options from the bench as plan B. So I would be happy for a 6-month loan deal on this one. I'm happy with this loan. Be a smart move, says Terry. Zander says Jovic stay away. Matt G says very happy with Jovic on a 6-month loan deal. Some bloke says loan now for Jovic would be perfect. Raul says nah, he's lost his motivation in life. It's very deep, Rahul. Very deep indeed. Shri says happy to rotate. Graham says do it now. Good loan option. Very keen on the Jovic option is Graham. Anyone for Aaron Ramsey says peanut butter jelly time? Not for me. I wouldn't be bringing it. It's better than no one, but not for me. Jovic would be an okay loan, says Jonathan. What if Jovic does an Ødegaard, says Balaji? It's a really good point. I mean, a lot of people really didn't think that Ødegaard was going to do that much at Arsenal. Look what's happened since then. Vladimir says, I get the Ødegaard kind of vibes with Jovic. A loan would be great and we would benefit in rotating with Laka. Gary Griffin says, Jovic, good business for a loan. Happy. Manu says, good for both parties. Let's take him on loan. And there you go. And Spring says, we don't need him. Play Ramsdale up top. Unbelievable scenes. Imagine that. Penultimately on our list is Arthur. Arthur from Juventus, Brazilian midfielder, famously part of the ridiculous swap deal with Miralem Pjanic. As a midfielder, he, for me, goes straight into the I am happy section of this list. I think he's genuinely a player that can do some really good things. His technical ability is good. His passing ability is really good. The thing about Arthur, for me, on the defensive side of his game is that where I'm a little bit less convinced about Arthur. But I still think he's a very, very good player. Mid-20s, can offer a lot. I don't know how much they would charge. And that's kind of my indecision about Arthur, is I'm not sure where he would sit on a price range. He is still, as Sasha points out, a very good player. Still, he's actually got a lot of ability. I don't think it's going necessarily amazingly at Juve because they spent a lot of money on Locatelli. They have Bentancur coming through as a very, very highly rated midfielder in my mind. You know, I really like Bentancur, and Adrian Rabiot is also there. That's why he's not really playing for Juve at the moment. I think he would be a shrewd bit of business. Maybe a 6-month loan would be quite good for him. A buy maybe out of our bracket, but if you said it was a loan, I would be very intrigued by that deal. But I wouldn't put him in the very good. I don't think he's on the same kind of level as Georginio Wijnaldum in terms of the impact that he would have on the team for the rest of the season. But I would be happy with that one. Let's see what you guys are saying. Very good loan, says Matt Thornton. Saladin, though, would stay away. Neil says, I'd be happy with that. Gary says, Arthur, very good, almost in get it done. A big fan of Arthur is Gary Griffin in the chat box. Razien TV says, Coutinho to Arsenal. Let's wait and see when we get on to our last one. Odu Relay says he belongs in stay away. Would love to see Svanberg. Tom says Craig Barlow. Where is Ceballos, says Venkatesh. Where's Zoboslai, says Chris P. Why aren't we being linked with Declan Rice? He seems like he'd slot right in, says Tuts, because, I mean, Chelsea, Man City are the two teams really being linked with that move. I don't think we're in that bracket of being able to compete right now for £100 million Declan Rice. I don't think I'd pay that much for him either. I mean, why would I pay £100 million for Declan Rice when I've already got a player that I think has been just as good in his fits and spurts this season in Sambi Lokonga? And I mean that genuinely. Sambi Lokonga has been that good this season when he's played. I still don't know why he was dropped. Can't get my head around it. Let's move on to the final player in our lists, and that is Philippe Coutinho. All together now. Stay away from here, Philippe Coutinho. We do not want you at Arsenal. Sorry, the ship has sailed. I just do not want him anywhere near Arsenal at all. Not anywhere near the club. Ridiculous wages. Would have a silly loan fee attached to him. We'd be doing Barcelona a favour, which I'm never really keen of anyway. We have Emil Smith-Rowe. We have Martin Ødegaard. Why on earth would we need to bring in Philippe Coutinho? Absolutely no chance. And the worrying thing is that the links with him look increasingly like there's some substance to them. I've been saying for weeks that I'd be absolutely shocked if he joined Arsenal. But when I saw some of the links coming out from Spain today from some sources that genuinely look a little bit legitimate, I started to get a little bit concerned. I really do not want to see him at Arsenal. I don't think it would be the right move whatsoever. Tom says, do it now and give him a statue preemptively. Look, I'm just not interested in Coutinho at Arsenal. He's nowhere near the player that he used to be whatsoever. And I agree with Talib, it'd be a Willian 2.0 situation. If he does join, and this is the caveat, if he does join, which, I'm not going to outright write off anymore, I would absolutely back him, and I'd want him to succeed because it would mean that Arsenal succeed, but for me, not at all. Gregory Bieler says, no, Coutinho. Coutinho, no, says Temi in the chat box. Rich Coffer says, Coutinho. Vishal says, Coutinho, no chance. Stay away from TGT, says Balaji. Zona says, bolt away from Coutinho. Craig says, Coutinho, lots of potential there, though, Tom. Not so sure there, mate. Not so sure whatsoever. Mike says, can you imagine Coutinho coming, absolutely nailing it, taking us to glory, and then this video of Tom makes the rounds around the internet? I mean, you could see it happening. I'd be absolutely delighted if that was the case, because it would mean that, Arsenal's succeeding. That's all I want. I might have my opinions about coaches and players and individuals, but if they come to Arsenal and succeed, I'm going to be buzzing. I'm never going to have the agenda about someone before they join the club. There's no point having a preconceptual opinion of a player that then makes you want them to fail. There's no all right having a preconceived perception of someone before they join and then wanting them to succeed and prove you wrong. But if you want that, if you are so forthright in your view about a player that you then want them to fail, then you're ranking your own glory and pride over the success of your club, which is a bit strange. So that's kind of where I'm at off that. DeRelay says he's off the charts. Yeah, is there any way that we can put him? Can we put him here? I feel like we maybe had to put him there. Slightly off the charts with how much I do not want to see Coutinho at Arsenal. Wilshere over Coutinho, says James. Before we wrap things up, is there anyone that you think I've missed? Anyone that you think we have not been talking about that has been linked to Arsenal? Why are they not featuring on this list? Have I missed someone? I really did think hard about the players we've been linked with. I look back over some of the videos that we've done, our 8 a.m. shows. I think this is I feel like this is the right ranking. Let us know in the comment section if you agree with it. If you're watching live, make sure you drop a like on the video. There's over 600 of you watching. Please, please, please drop a like on the video if you haven't done so already. A lot of effort goes into making these videos every single day. Let's see what you guys... Asensio says Shri. Ivan Tony says MZ. To be fair on Asensio, we have actually been linked with Asensio leading up to this window. I would put him in the I'm happy section. I would put him above Kulusevski as an option, just because of my own liking for the player, selfishly, to be honest. That's where my own personal view would be in here. Kaz says Basuma, because of links to Basuma have completely died away. So I've not included him in this list. Kessier, again, is another one where the links have completely died away, Terry. So I've not included him in this list either. Vishal says, Tom, heard about Barcelona's stance on Frank de Jong, or Frankie de Jong. Their stance, I believe, I can't believe that their stance would be that they'd let him go, because he is far, far too good for Barca at this stage. He's arguably their best player in their team based on raw quality. If he was on this list, I think he'd be a very good buy. Bordering on do it now. He's an amazing player. No, Matt. Just no. Not our. Ollie Watkins. Maybe that's someone actually genuinely who I've missed out. I'd probably put Ollie Watkins in the very good, bordering on the I'm happy kind of level. Yanis Stoica says, Jonathan, I do feel like this was something that was kind of generated from the Romanian side of things. I would put him in the I'm happy list as kind of but I don't think it would be I wouldn't steer clear of Yanis Stoica. I think he's like a youth option, someone that would improve us in the future. Darwin Nunez says, Raylox, we've not been linked to him heavily, nearly at all. I would put him in the very good / I'm happy. I don't know enough about him, to be honest. Benzema, says Rich. Obviously, Benzema. Why have we not been talking about Benzema? He should be in the absolute do-it-nows of this list, clearly. Ivan Tony's cropping up. Mason Greenwood, Haaland, Awar Watkins. I mean, there's a lot of names coming in now. Loose links to Gabriel Barbosa, a.k.a. Gabigol. I would put him in the I'm happy again section, I think. I'm happy again section. It's a bit of a strange one, isn't it? Anyway, we're going to wrap our list up there. Let us know what you think. Do you agree with this list of Arsenal's January signing targets? Do you think that I've got them spot on? Do you think I've got them wrong? do you let me know in the chat box. Do drop a like on the video. I'll be joining you at 8 a.m. tomorrow. There is no Liverpool game, so I've moved the Bruno Guimaraes tactical breakdown to tomorrow evening/afternoon. So do join me for that one. Join me at 8 a.m. Drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed the show. Follow me on Twitter at Tom Cantor Media and at the Gooner Talk TV. And enjoy the rest of your evening. And I'll see you again very, very soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.